In a bid to prove his royalist credentials, Labour leader Keir Starmer has written for The Telegraph about the Queen's Jubilee. They reported the news with this headline: Keir Starmer, it's your patriotic duty to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. They say exclusive. Labour leader writing for The Telegraph breaks with Corbyn years when the party was accused of lukewarm support for the monarchy. Something that stands out here, lukewarm support for the monarchy is something you can be accused of and targeted for. Like, not only do we have to consent to this, unelected, kind of grotesque institution which sucks up taxpayers' money, takes up prime real estate in our capital city. Not only do we have to sort of passively accept them, even lukewarm support isn't enough. So we have to prove we have more than lukewarm support if we want to be treated as legitimate people in this country. But anyway, this headline, what got people really annoyed was Keir Starmer saying that it was your patriotic duty to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Sounds, one, ridiculous, but also like get off our backs. That probably was a bit misleading from the paper. So the section of the article that Keir Starmer wrote is this that they're referring to. The Jubilee weekend isn't simply a chance for a country wearied by the extraordinary circumstances of the past few years to let its hair down, although it is, of course, your patriotic duty to do just that. So he's not actually saying it's your patriotic duty to be royalist. He's just saying, have a nice weekend. It's a joke. It's more a joke than a commandment. But putting aside that troublemaking by the Telegraph, so Keir's piece was still, from my perspective, pretty goddamn gross. So he writes, Her Majesty's commitment to duty and her passion for furthering our country on the world stage have not just benefited each of us, they have also conferred on her the respect and love of people here and across the world. She has shown us that integrity, hard work and selflessness are the antidote to pessimism. Remember, this is a woman who has been waited on her entire life as working class people pay taxes to keep her palace warm. It's not the usual image of selflessness and hard work. In Keir Starmer's mind it is, but for me at least it's not. He goes on to say, just as the Queen has led us through the past 70 years, all that she has taught us about duty, tolerance, humility and responsibility will continue to guide us into this next era. We are a better, brighter country because of her. Our history is richer, our future built on firmer foundations, and our great country made greater still by her rule. Now, this is a woman whose courtiers fought to put exemptions in legislation so the palace could continue to discriminate on the basis of race when making employment decisions. It's someone who wears a multi-million-pound crown as she tells us what laws will be passed during austerity or cost of living crisis, and someone who's helping her son pay off millions of pounds to someone who's accused him of sex abuse. It's hardly giving tolerance, humility, and responsibility.
It's shallow. It's deeply embarrassing. Obviously, I'm not the target audience of this op-ed. It's clearly aimed towards some kind of caricature of a red wall voter that has been cooked up in the imagination, the cursed imagination of an overpaid consultant. But even if I was the target audience, I would feel so deeply patronized by this, so deeply insulted, because people can really see through this kind of gesture politics. The term virtue signaling is thrown around a lot, and it's usually thrown around in a really shallow, superficial way. Like standing up for marginalized people is not virtue signaling, it's just a virtue. But this is actually one of those very rare instances where virtue signaling is like the perfect description of what we are seeing here. It stinks of inauthenticity, of insincerity. It's like a pastiche, like a pick and mix of all the different words that have been used to describe the Queen over the past however many years by tabloid media, just kind of smushed into one article in a sort of begging tone of like, please take mercy on me to the Murdoch press. And the issue here is that this is Starmer's character. And this is why he's deeply unpopular, not only with the Corbyn constituencies, but also with Labour voters as a whole. It's that exact kind of sliminess. He did this exact same thing in his bid to become leader of the Labour Party, where he told people everything they wanted to hear, telling party members, look, I will continue the socialist legacy of Jeremy Corbyn, or even, I'll continue that legacy, but, in a slightly more media-friendly package. all the while knowing full well that his intention was not only to not continue that legacy, but to actively purge that legacy from the party's history and to implement a system and a culture that would make sure that that kind of legacy could never, ever reach the light of day again within the Labour Party. And so that exact bag of tricks is being used again, but on the British public. But I think that now Starmer has a well-earned reputation for being insincere, for no one really knowing what he stands for, and for being a flip-flopper. And I think we saw in the May elections that, yes, the Conservative Party are deeply, deeply unpopular, but the Labour Party are not offering anything that would bring people out of their homes to vote for them. Rather than op-eds, essentially salivating over the British establishment, I would much rather be seeing some kind of comprehensive program that Starmer could possibly offer the British people to not only end the cost of living crisis, but actually reverse the damage that has been done, the economic damage that has been done to the British people over the past 10 years. As I was looking at this op-ed and these very, big sort of grandiose words being used by Keir Starmer, I was thinking about an interview that I saw with Annalise Dodds, where she was asked, what is one tangible policy that the Labour Party have to offer the British public to help them with the cost of living crisis? And Annalise Dodds says, well, you can just go and look at our website. The fact that there is just such little transformative thinking at a time when the system is so clearly not working for everyday people in this country is a major strategic error from Keir Starmer. Even if all he wanted to do was to just get into power and he didn't actually care about what he did with that power afterwards, this is a very counterproductive tack, because the inauthenticity that reeks from it just confirms everything that people already think about Keir Starmer, which is that he is not to be trusted.
All of us here at Novara Media are working harder than ever to keep scrutinising establishment politicians and the media barons who protect them. We don't have billionaire funders. We don't have advertising partnerships. We're funded entirely by you. If you've ever thought about supporting us, now's the time to go to novaramedia.com/support and donate anything you can from just £1 per month. Defy the corporate media. Join our monthly supporters and help build our supporter base to 10,000 strong.